Well, good morning and welcome to the HamSCI Workshop here in Huntsville, Alabama. So this year's workshop is entitled The Weather Connection. And I'm so glad that we can have this hybrid in-person and virtual workshop where we have talks, posters, and demonstrations in a special event station. And I'd like to thank the National Science Foundation and NASA for all of their support, and the University of Scranton. But most importantly, I really want to thank all of you for your support, because without your support and your contributions, these talks, the science that we're doing, the contributions to amateur radio that we're doing, it just would not be possible. So my name is Nathaniel Frizzell. My call sign is W2NAF, and I am an assistant professor at the University of Scranton. So I just have a couple opening remarks here. And I always include this slide at the HamSCI workshop because I think it's really important to restate what amateur radio is, especially because not everyone who comes to this workshop is actually a radio amateur. And some of us, we all come from different backgrounds. Some of us are hams, some of us are scientists or researchers. Some of us may just be people who are kind of curious. So amateur ham radio, it is a hobby for radio enthusiasts, communicators, builders, experimenters, and we really do have a wide-reaching demographic, all ages and walks of life. In the United States, we have over 760,000 hams and about 3 million worldwide. And one thing that kind of unites the amateur radio community is that we amateurs are all licensed by, in the United States, the federal government or whatever state government they happen to come from. And the path to getting licensed typically requires a basic RF electrical engineering knowledge, and this licensing path provides a path to learning. So, people who've become an amateur, they have demonstrated an interest in this where they really want to, say, I'm a part of this, I'm going to learn. So it's a really great community for that. So some examples of amateur radio, these are some that I've been able to participate in. We do emergency preparedness activities. We do a lot with scouting. I've been able to meet Tim Duffy and participate in contest superstations. We have people who are up in very cold places up in Canada. I've been able to go to remote islands as well. And all of these places you can talk to, from wherever you are, even at your house. And that's really great. A really important thing to note, why are we here as HamSCI? Well, it's because all of these communications are affected by the global or by the geospace system. The sun, you have the solar wind, and the interplanetary magnetic field. It interacts with our Earth's magnetosphere, and all of that eventually comes down and interacts with our ionosphere, which affects our radio signals. And conversely, if you look down at the Earth, over here, things down in the troposphere, stratosphere, mesosphere, and thermosphere, all those the neutral atmosphere, that can also affect our radio observations. So there's a tight coupling between what we do as radio amateurs and understanding the world around us. So HamSCI, we are a collective that allows university researchers to collaborate with the amateur radio community in scientific investigations. We have three main objectives. So one is to advance scientific research and understanding through amateur radio activities. Two is to encourage the development of new technologies to support this research. And three is to provide educational opportunities for the amateur community and the general public. And this year, as I said, we are hybrid. All talks will be streamed over the Zoom webinar. If you have a question, you can put it in a chat. We have Zoom moderators. We've got students who are watching the Zoom chat and can be your voice in the room. If you are a panelist, you have the possibility of asking questions directly. It'll come over the loudspeaker system here in the room. The agenda can be found on the website. If you go to hamsci.org/hamsci2022, you can find this blue button that says click here for agenda, and that will give you all the list of talks. If you click on any title, it will bring up the abstract. If you click on the title of a poster, it will actually bring up a page that looks like this that has the abstract. a picture of the poster, and you click on the poster, you get the full PDF of it. The posters, we'll talk about this more tomorrow. There's going to be a poster walk tomorrow on Saturday that will be virtual on Zoom, or it'll be hybrid. And then there will be a special session after the poster walk where the virtual people will be able to kind of wrap up and have a final discussion. And then we'll have the in-person poster session after lunch tomorrow. We have 3 fantastic invited speakers this year. So in person, we have Dr. Tamitha Scope, who I see just walked in the room. She'll be talking to us about the space weather impacts on the ionosphere tomorrow morning, and she is well known to the amateur community as a space weather woman, but she also has very high-level credentials as a space physicist as well. We have Mr. Jim Bacon, G3YLA, who's a broadcast meteorologist, and he's interested in sporadic E. He'll be joining us virtually tomorrow morning from the UK over Zoom. And then Dr. Chen Peng Yang will be our keynote speaker at the banquet tonight. He wrote the book, Probing the Sky with Radio Waves, which gives the history of ionospheric physics up to the present day. And amateur radio plays a very important role in that. He'll be joining us virtually from Toronto tonight. Today's session is being recorded by Jason Johnson, KC5HWB of Ham Radio 2.0. Over the next few months, he'll be working on editing all of these videos and doing the post-processing. So now I'd like to bring up Dr. Rob Suggs. He is going to say a few words about our special event station, NN4SA.
Yeah, thanks, Nathaniel. We have a station set up in the front of the building here. Probably most of you noticed it when you walked in. And we're be operating really, I think from the beginning of the day here until about 6 p.m. both days. And we encourage you, if you're a ham or if you're not a ham, to drop by and get on the air. We have control operators who will be there the whole time, and they're happy to get you on the air. We've this has been organized by the Marshall Space Flight Center Amateur Radio Club. I work for NASA here at Marshall. And we're mostly going to be on 20 and 40 meters. We noticed yesterday that our antenna, which is a ZS6BKW multiband antenna, looks really good on 17 meters as well. So we'll probably be on 17 some. We'll be working mostly phone and digital. Laura here, one of our operators, is also a CW operator, so you may see some of that going on. And we welcome you to step up to the paddle there if you'd like to do that. The radio we're running is a FTDX10 from Yaesu. That's a hybrid super heterodyne SDR. Very nice radio, great receiver, nice waterfall display. You'll see all that. That has been loaned to us by the local vendor Gigaparts. They're just a few miles from here. Some of you may have bought stuff online from them, but they are here local to us and have been very gracious to loan us the radio. And the QSL cards for this event will be, I think, generated by HamSCI, and then our club will handle distributing those, and we're requesting a self-addressed stamped envelope. Most hams are familiar with that stuff to get the QSL card. Those of you out there who would like to connect with us, we'll be off and on the air a little bit today because we've got some lightning around. But we should be on most of the time, except I think during the demo session tomorrow afternoon. We don't want to interfere with some of the other stuff happening here. We are self-spotting on the DX Summit, so we should be seen on all the DX clusters if you're interested in what band and mode we're on at any particular time. So I think that's it, and we just drop by and get on the air. It's a lot of fun.
Thank you so much, Rob. And I certainly encourage people to do that, especially if you don't know about how hams actually operate. It's a great opportunity. So next I'd like to say we're here in Huntsville, Alabama, and this is largely a part because of the man who is now standing here on stage. Bill, step over this way in front of the camera. There you go. Here's Bill Engel, AB4EJ, my longtime collaborator from the University of Alabama, and he's the one who invited us here. So I'd like to thank him, and I'd also like him to say a few words of welcome.
Okay, thanks very much, Nathaniel. First of all, let me welcome everybody to the Space and Rocket Center and Alabama in general. Welcome you to Huntsville. My home QTH is near Tuscaloosa. It's about 150 miles southwest from here. But we decided to have this here because it's logistically, it's a good location. Originally, we were planning to have this HamSCI conference at Scranton, but something came up. There's a political event going on this weekend which was going to really crash our ability to have this conference. So I suggested, we've been talking about having this in Alabama for a while. Why don't we do it there? And it turns out this is a very good venue for a lot of reasons. Hopefully you get a chance to stop by and make a breeze through over at the Space and Rocket Center Museum next door. If you do go there, my suggestion is go directly to the Saturn V building. That's more oriented towards engineers. Most of the museum is oriented towards kids now, but the Space and Rocket Center is oriented toward engineers, and very often there are actually retired NASA engineers who will be happy to explain the down-dirty details of how the ferrite cores work in the computers and other aspects of orienting missiles in space. Anyway, delighted that everybody is here. We have rough weather today, but I think it's supposed to clear up tomorrow. And welcome everybody who is attending virtually as well. So glad you could all be here. So thanks, and we look forward to a great conference.
Thank you so much, Bill. I really appreciate it. Let's see. I'm actually going to move on very quickly from questions because of time. I just want to say this meeting is partly a team meeting for the HamSCI Personal Space Weather Station, and many of you have heard of this before. This is a multi-instrument ground-based device designed to observe space weather effects both as a single-point measurement and part of a larger distributed network. It's personal because we're designing it such that an individual should be able to purchase one and operate it in their own backyard. And the design also works to take into account the needs of both the amateur radio operators and the professional researchers. Now, I want to emphasize that this project is something that we're in a development phase for. So the HamSCI community is actually designing and developing and prototyping this right now. So we have some prototypes out there. We do have some hardware out there, but it's not something you can necessarily just go buy off the shelf right now. You know, we're actually designing this together. So many of the talks you'll see today reflect that. We have a couple different versions of a low-cost personal space weather station, which you'll hear more about, and the Tangerine software-defined radio-based version, which you'll hear more about in the next talk. And it's a highly collaborative team. We've got many different institutions, organizations, volunteers, and all sorts of other varieties thereof working on this. So I thank you very much again for coming. If you are in person, help yourself to the coffee. There are restrooms right out there. Any questions before we go on?